also about the gentleman joining me in studio. Good morning to both of you. Now, I'm just imagining 94 for 6. That Indian team dressing room this morning, what are the conversations now, Sunny?
Well, clearly, I think they would have been saying we can't let up now. We've got to keep the pressure on, try and dismiss the last 4 wickets pretty quickly. Because look, a long spell, they haven't bowled too many overs. Then you think in terms of enforcing the follow-on.
I would imagine the conversation in the West Indian dressing room is a touch different.
Yes, it would be. It would be about, we've had a night's rest. Kimo Paul is there. He has a first-class 100. He hit the winning.
Bringing up a beautiful point. What we discussed when India travelled overseas was how hard it was to dismiss the tail. But have a look at these numbers, because when it comes to home conditions in the last 2 seasons,
there will be a lot more grip and a lot more turn for the spinners. So yes, India's got an excellent record in India when it comes to dismissing the last 4 batsmen, and they'll be hoping that they'll be able to do that. And what is the best part about the Indian bowling attack in recent times is that the seam bowlers are making a contribution on Indian pitches, not necessarily overseas pitches. On Indian pitches, they're getting wickets. They're getting wickets at the start, and because they have that little extra skid, a little extra pace, they're also able to get numbers 9, 10, 11, who sometimes can be, obstinate and stubborn at the crease. They've been able to do that in India quite successfully.
So there you go. If you can consolidate as a batting unit, what do the West Indies batsmen now have to be wary about when it comes to this varied Indian bowling attack? Our Baiju's game plan. Well, thank you very much, Akash. Before these two gentlemen graced us with their presence in the studios, they were out there telling us what the conditions are going to be like for day 3. Let's take a look. So there you go, lots in plan for us here on day 3. What about us here on Nerula Cricket Live? You saw him score his 24th Test century. Virat Kohli, today he'll be looking to marshal his bowlers. But what makes him such an icon, a mega icon? So here's just a sneak peek of what you will get today at lunch on Nerula Cricket Live from India's Test captain. On that note, we'll take a breather here. There's plenty more that is planned throughout the day for you on our show. Not just that you can catch on the lunch show, but also later on at tea. We will continue with our masterclass series. We'll be back to discuss a little more. You mentioned him already. He actually has an average over 40 batting against India. So he's got to give a fight to the bowlers and frustrate them. Like you said, draw inspiration from what happened overseas?
Absolutely. Those memories, and Sunny can tell you, if you played at a certain ground or against a certain team and you've had good way, but then was back down in the last 2 home series to averaging 20. But he's a good player. He's new to Test match cricket, and I think he has to shepherd Kimo Paul and the rest of them. He must be aware of the plan of them bowling straight or taking him wide.
And that's what, if you want to incite fear in a batsman, Mohammad Shami does that very well right at the top, doesn't he? I mean, he's got a pretty good average against West Indies as well. It's pretty under 20. So when you're speaking of happy memories, there you go.
Absolutely. I think, he's been a bowler who beats the bat quite often, doesn't quite get wickets. But when he gets wickets, when he gets his, and he's relishing that role of being the main wicket taker at the start of the innings for India. Those 2 wickets, the wicket getting rid of Brathwaite. Now Brathwaite's a fine player. He's a fine player. He's the one who actually holds the West Indies innings at the top, and then others around him can help them to get to maybe 250, 300. So this is where he struck, getting Brathwaite out, the skipper out, and that stump. My God, it went flying almost towards Rishabh Pant.
Every bowler likes to see that. Okay, we've got about 30 seconds for my favorite part of the show. Gentlemen, you know what it is? It's just a number you got to throw out there.
Well, I think that the West Indies will be all out just on the dot of lunch.
I think we've survived the first session. The Windies, I've gotten everything wrong so far, so I'll get one right before the series is over.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. You remember that, because we will remind them of it at lunch. See you later on. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nerula Cricket Live. It is lunchtime, and as we did anticipate in the morning, as Sunil Gavaskar told us, India have in fact enforced the follow-on. Let's find out what's on the show. Documentary that we'll be playing in just a bit, but with the gentleman with me in the studio here, let's just get a reaction to that, because we did anticipate that this would happen. West Indies, started with that kind of intensity that we wanted to see.
The long handle to good effect, especially against Kuldeep Yadav, whom I felt that in the first session they that wasn't to be. But as soon as he came, it's always going to be different, isn't it? Even with the new ball, we have seen the way he operates. So many tricks, and especially the lower order who haven't faced him, who haven't seen him. It's one thing watching the videos and one thing facing on those 22 yards. So it was good comeback from India as well, because getting the last 4 wickets has been a bit of a problem of late for the Indian team.
Yes, for India overseas, but we just showed you those numbers at home where they averaged really well, getting the tail out. But Darren, just in terms of doing things a little differently, just with his field placements, changing around his bowlers, because he does have variety in this attack. And, you know, that's where Virat is. Struggle a little in the morning, just bowl the last over before lunch break there. He will know that he has a job to do here. You know, you've been sent home from England. You want to make a point here.
Exactly, and I think that's where I said the same thing on the first day as well to you, Mayanti. I said, when you're playing as the third bowler, sometimes you feel that extra pressure. You feel, oh, I've got Ravindra Jadeja and Ravi Ashwin.
Comfortable with, you know, set it the way that you want, because Virat Kohli is very approachable, isn't he, as a captain? And we got a chance to see, you know, a very vulnerable side of Virat Kohli. What makes him the champion today? What makes him an icon? Here is part 1 of the documentary, Virat Kohli, a mega icon. Conversation there from Virat Kohli, part 2, which you'll get an opportunity to see in our lunch show. But look, he's captained you in the IPL. You've seen his leadership, and you know, what were some of your earliest memories of Virat Kohli? Because you saw a lot of his childhood.
I think that's one thing which he'll say, absolutely deadpan honest with you. And one thing which I've seen with him is the fact
So much today for both teams. Look, we'll take a small breather. When we come back, we just discuss what needs to be done in the next session.